Hello everybody, welcome to this media conference with Gareth Southgate. Just to flag that Andreas is available for translation if needed, so if you do require then please raise your hand. Rob Harris.
Hi Gareth, are you encouraged by the team's character in the comeback, in particular the impact of the subs?
Well, very much so. I think we started the game a bit tentatively, and you could feel that it was a night where I think the crowd were with us, but they were wondering how everything was going to play out. And I think subconsciously the team felt that a little bit. They were not aggressive enough with our pressing, and that said, against a team that manipulated the spaces really well and technically were very good. We didn't get the ball from our back players into midfield well enough. We kept going backwards, so we weren't as positive as we should have been there. But even through that period, we had the best chances. You know, we had great counter-attacking moments when we did turn the ball over and played quickly through the press. And we should really have been ahead with the quality of chances we had at half-time. Second half, we started okay. Really, all of the goals we conceded are avoidable. So we're 2-0, looking into a difficult moment. But I've got to say the players have been fantastic the last few days. They've taken some individual responsibility. They've collectively talked as a group on their own with us. And the whole experience has been one we needed, I think, to grow the next part as a team, because you're going to have pressure in a World Cup. And you can try and avoid pressure, but it's coming. You know, maybe it's the third group game, maybe it's a quarter-final, whatever it might be, it's coming. So better that we feel it and we learn how to deal with it. We talked about how we needed to react if Germany scored tonight, and the players reacted in the right way. So we show some character, but also a lot of quality in the chances we created throughout the whole game, and particularly for the goals we scored. And I think the crowd also came with us. You know, they stayed with us. They stayed with the team even at 0-2. They didn't get on their back. They were quiet, understandably, but they didn't get on their back, and that was so important for us. And of course, we score, the roof nearly lifts off. We all suddenly remember what it feels like to watch a goal go in. And then there's great momentum in the game. And I thought Bukayo and Mason had really good contributions. I thought Jude was outstanding through the whole game. I think Luke Shaw, considering how little football he's had a really positive night. So a lot to take from it, and then of course we get an absolute punch on the nose at the end, which is pretty much how it's going at the moment, frankly. So I'm sure everybody in here wasn't too chuffed at rewriting 3 match reports either, but I wasn't particularly enamoured by it myself.
Obviously, if you look now to November, Kane's talks about trying to remove some of those mistakes from the game. Is the challenge for you? You've got so little time now again with the players before that first game.
Yeah, of course, but everybody's got the same challenge, and I think it's a really strange period because so many teams are a little bit up in the air, really. There's very few teams that have been able to find form. Everybody I spoke to found the summer really difficult. We've all had the players now for 3-4 days and 2 games in quick succession, and now this gap where, you know, you're sitting hoping that you don't pick up big injuries, but we're going to pick up some. But I go back to what I think the players have been through a little bit this week, and how they've responded to it has been, for me, the biggest positive.
There's obviously some focus that will be on some players. Is that the agonising you've now got to stick with all the players, the trusted players, or where can you do that changes now from this group?
Yeah, of course. You know, that's always going to be the challenge, especially regarding how much football they have. But you know, there were, I know everybody will focus on Harry, but there were some very important moments that Harry delivered during the 2 matches. Luke was another example of somebody that, you know, he's an outstanding footballer. So what do we do? Not pick Luke Shaw because he's not playing enough football, or or do we pick a player that can do what you saw tonight? And that's always going to raise debate, but I think in these moments we've got to back our best and our most experienced players, unless we're in a situation where, you know, it's almost untenable and impossible to pick them.
Thanks, Rob. Sammy Muckbell.
Yeah, I know you've not won the game tonight, but the manner of the comeback and that second half performance, is there momentum to be had from that going into the tournament? And then can I just check on John Stones' injury, please?
Yeah. Well, John is feeling something with his hamstring. I think Harry is feeling something a little bit as well. Yeah, you know, 8 hours ago, not everything was wrong that we were doing, and now not everything is right, clearly. But I think the areas that we weren't delivering in the top end of the pitch looked so much brighter and sharper tonight, and final passes, the ability to take people on, speed of attack. So we still failed to execute some of the opportunities that we had, but I think the fact that we've scored 3 and looked dangerous throughout the game was really important for the players. It's understandable when they have a run like they're in with their national team that they've never experienced this group. They've only known good times and positivity. And so I think they've been a little bit not surprised, but you know, they've had to work all of that through, really. And I think some of the more senior players have been outstanding around the place in terms of doing that.
Paul Joyce.
Just going back to what you said about the team growing, is there any specific examples that you said about playing individuals?
Yeah. Look, I think. One of the things was they asked, could they have a meeting on their own and to talk things through, and I think that was, you know, for me that was such a positive sign, because I mean, by the way, there's moments at some clubs where that's not a good sign, but they'd kind of talked through what they wanted to do with me, and for me, the best football teams, of course, need outstanding leadership from coaching team and everything else. But the best teams have a real core of players that drive things, and there's more of those sorts of conversations go on across a week, where they're eating, where they're having treatment, where they're interacting, that you can't be involved in as a staff. So to have the right sort of messages filtering through to all members of the group to keep people on track is crucial, and I think that's one example of how they've dealt with it really well.
Is that tactical messages?
No, that's just really, that was keeping people on track. Look, we're on board with what we're being asked to do. We need to stay calm. You know, we've been through moments like this before. We've got players that have experienced some moments like this with England, not so many now, which is why I think they're all learning together. But in those moments, it's the message that we've got to stick to what we're doing. You know, we of course have to improve in certain areas, but we weren't going to rip things up tonight and make 8 changes and start throwing everything up in the air, because we believed in what we're doing. Whether people agree with it or not, I think we've got to stick with what we believe, and I think the players took that on board and recognised that the senior ones, actually, it was an important moment to, you know, we're only a few months away from a World Cup, and I think they felt that was good. And I have to say, we've been hoping that that type of thing would happen. It was interesting to me that you can talk about team spirit when things are going well. But in actual fact, the true test is when there's a bit of adversity, because it can be a bit superficial. But having difficult conversations, whether that's me with the players or the team, or whether that's amongst themselves, that's far more important.
Thanks, Paul. Alex Howell.
You mentioned that Jude Bellingham was outstanding tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is he's got a top-level mentality to compete. And yes, he's got technical ability, of course, and he's got athletic prowess. But the thing that makes the difference with the top players is that mentality that they're never beaten, and that they drive the game, and that they don't look like they're phased by any occasion. And I think that's what we're seeing in him.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, we've got 4 lined up, so we'll take them and end it. There we go there.
There were many stories about Jamal Musiala before the match. What do you think about his performance today and his future?
Well, I don't care less about his future. He's an outstanding player. You know, we had him and Jude playing for our under-16s, and he knows how much we liked him, and he knows we wanted to keep him. But he's training every day at Bayern Munich with 8 players from the German national squad. They had a good opportunity to influence him, so that's a shame. But he's a very special talent. Yeah, no, excellent, outstanding. He's got that lovely ability to glide past people, yeah, he's a very exciting player.
Ivan Toney, he didn't get on tonight. Can he still play his way into the World Cup squad?
Yeah, definitely. You know, there are some positions where I've spoken to the players this week. There are some really tight calls in certain positions, and so how they do with their club gives them an opportunity to influence that thinking. We wanted to pick a bigger squad to engage people, to talk through certain things, so that they were in the team tactical meetings and training sessions. We always knew that we weren't going to hand loads of caps out. You know, we felt these were important matches to hone down how we want to play, and you know, to have a very good idea of where we're heading with the team. So that's also important to see how people are going to react in those moments as well, because the group dynamic has been a huge part of why we've done well in the last 2 tournaments.
Dom Smith.
Gareth, you played the back 3 again tonight. You've explained at length why you use that system to get rid of that, etc. But given you played that system today and the quality of some of the defending, some of it has to be said from Harry Maguire, does that worry you this soon before the World Cup?
Well, I don't think the system was responsible for any of the goals. I think that's clear. So we were a bit naive on the counter-attack for the second, and the first and the third are individual errors. So in the end, what pleased me was the threat we looked playing in that system, and the fact that, yeah, look, people are going to have an opinion, but I think it's the best way for us. So I've got to accept there's going to be a huge amount of noise. There has been around individual selections, team selections, but if I'm going to be a wishy-washy, change my mind, not stick to what I think is right and gives us the best chance of winning, then it's pointless me doing it. So I think the players are committed to it. They know the more we play it, the more comfortable it will be, and the different tactical problems that opponents pose, you start to get more familiar with. So, yeah, I think there were some positive signs across the 2 games with it.
Simon Peach to finish.
You mentioned the noise. There's going to be a lot about your squad selection over the coming weeks. You've been asked about players that aren't here, but people like Marcus Rashford and Sandra weren't able to ask you about because of obviously you touched on Marcus in your quotes, but what you're thinking of the likes of those 2 players and others that won't be this time, and the chance they have to get into the squad.
Yeah, I mean, look, we would be foolish not to keep an open mind to, especially players that have worked with us before, who we know that know us and can slot in pretty comfortably. I think what the way Eric Dyer has played across the 2 games is a really good example of that. He didn't need big adaptation. He fits in with the group immediately. So those guys in particular, we're monitoring closely, but also we've got to keep an open mind on others, because in certain positions we don't have a lot of depth, and we've still got to be analysing, is there somebody that can come in and improve the squad that we've got.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.